Welcome back to Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
We welcome you back to Talk of the Town for this Thursday, February 17th. I'm Gary Stevens. Third Thursday of the month. We spend it talking with one of the members of the Holland City Council. And today we are very pleased to be joined on the other side of our Zoom connection with at-large council member Lyn Raymond. Lyn, good morning, and since it's the first time we're chatting in 2022, Happy New Year.
Yeah, good morning, Gary. Thanks so much. I've had back-to-back Zoom meetings this morning, so I appreciate your willingness to meet this way.
I have no problems with that, and it enables our listeners to join in the conversation, but not via the Zoom. Call us at 616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. There are a few things I want to touch base with you on, Lyn.
Sure.
But first, I want to talk to you a little bit about what happened during last night's meeting. It's been a contentious issue to some, and that is the LG Energy Solution Renaissance Zone request for the expansion of its lithium-ion battery plant off of 48th Street in the far southeast corner of the city of Holland. The city has to sign off on it before the state takes the matter up next week. And it looks as if it did pass, but there are some residents in the area, Lyn, that made their voices known during work study sessions about the fact that ever since the lithium-ion battery plant has been built, their houses, while they're still appraised for value, they can't sell them. Did we hear any of those arguments last night, or has that argument sort of passed?
Well, first of all, it's the issue. Well, the LG Energy Solutions process is complex and lots of different moving parts and lots of steps, and so we're taking them one at a time to make sure that we all understand exactly how this is moving forward. The neighbors have been very communicative, and we've been, not only have council members been reaching out to them, but they've had contact with the city planning department. And so we're taking their concerns seriously, especially in terms of site plan approval, which is it'll now go to the planning commission. And so I feel that they've, at least up to this point, they feel like they're being listened to. And of course, again, there are several steps in the process to address those concerns, but the city staff has been meeting with them and taking seriously their concerns.
Yeah, because, and correct me if I'm wrong, I was there when President Obama spoke on the groundbreaking of that facility some 10 or so, 11 years ago or so ago. And I remember going to the site, and it was basically out in the middle of farmland. I don't know whether or not there's been some building out there or what, but I would think maybe the expansion of that plant wouldn't be as much of a raising a red flag for residents as, say, the one that what used to be JCI has on 48th Street, closer towards Central Avenue.
Yeah, and I'm not familiar with that particular plant. I've taken a drive out to look at the LG Energy Solutions existing plant, seeing where it connects with the neighborhoods. And so I've been able to, and as a member of the Planning Commission, it's important for me to understand exactly what those connections are. So it is in the middle of our industrial zone. However, it does abut a residential area in Fillmore Township.
All right, that's, again, maybe it was a case of not city residents, but just local residents, again, in a different jurisdiction in that regard. The other thing I want to touch upon from last night's meeting, first reading before a final vote in a couple of weeks, some ordinance amendments, Lyn, that would basically help the Holland BPW expand its broadband to all residential areas in the city. I know, again, it was only a first reading, no final vote for a couple of weeks. What did you get out of that proposal from the BPW? Because it looks as if, if you get rid of some of the red tape, for lack of a better term, it might not be a bad idea to expand the broadband to the entire city instead of just the downtown area.
Well, broadband has certainly been a priority and of this council and previous councils. And in fact, at the council advance, it was identified as one of its top priorities. And so last night was just really kind of a first step to kind of lay the groundwork in order to hear a presentation that will happen on March 9 at our study session. Dave Koster, General Manager at Holland Board of Public Works, and Keith Van Beek, our City Manager, will be presenting to us a proposal. We don't know what that is yet, but we'll hear that proposal and then be able to make some determinations on next steps.
All right, because let's put it this way: the Holland BPW. To be honest with you, correct me if I'm wrong, and again, maybe I'm asking the wrong person, and Dave Koster might know. There is somewhat of a framework to be able to do this right now, especially with the Holland BPW. It's you have to lay down some more wires, but for lack of a better term, wires. But at least I think they can be able to do this without big muss and fuss.
Well, I'm going to let Dave Koster talk about the details, but certainly they've been a broadband provider for many years, and so they have the capacity to do it. And all of those details, Dave and Keith will lay out on that at that March 9 study session.
Okay, I was looking at the notes, and I saw first reading with March 2, so maybe it's they're going to push it back a little bit in that regard. So maybe so we'll take that. We'll take the issue that we heard about last night will happen on March 2, and then we'll hear more specifics about a proposal moving forward on March 9. Lyn, let me go to an area that I think you might have a little more expertise than maybe trying to figure out some broadband issues. Community development block grants. There were a couple of hearings about it last month. The Neighborhood Improvement Committee went over the results of the input hearing and a public meeting. What did you get out of not only those two meetings, but also what the committee met earlier this week on, Lyn? Because it seemed as if it was more of, all right, what priorities should we make in terms of getting these development block grants doled out for 2022-23?
Yeah, certainly that was the focus of the Neighborhood Improvement Committee meeting this week. Wanted to review the input gathered at the two public meetings. Really interesting information. Perhaps not surprising. I think what bubbled to the surface were issues around affordable housing, public transportation. I know that there were kind of three that bubbled to the top. Childcare was another one that was really that was highlighted. So the Neighborhood Improvement Committee is responsible for determining where it's a couple $200,000-$300,000 that they get, maybe upwards of $400,000 depending each year on where that funding goes. We do have a 5-year plan already, so this is a little bit of we're not going to change the 5-year plan. It's just a matter of ensuring that we spend those funds in places where people would like it to go. And usually a lot of it goes to sidewalk reconstruction in lower income neighborhoods, affordable housing, home repair. And we did have some conversations about how those funds might be able to help with public transportation.
And the thing is, Lyn, we had Daniel Unikas of the Community Action House in here yesterday on Talk of the Town, and he attended the two hearings with Scott Rumsa from the CAH, and they were talking about the fact that they use these block grants to sort of augment what they can offer, because some of the things they can offer through federal programs or state programs comes with strings attached. You have to have X amount of income or be in this type of situation, whereas block grants gives them a little bit more flexibility. And it sounded like something good that Daniel and the CAH is doing, and probably other agencies are doing with this money too.
Yes, thank you for that reminder. That's a really important part of the community development block grant funding through the city. We can use up to 15% of the grant, of the total grant for social services. And so the city has funded homeless services and some eviction prevention programming in the county in the city for the last couple of years. So that's been enormously helpful. And of course, they did get some additional community development block grant funding connected to COVID relief, and that funding was also distributed to some of the services that provide resources to people experiencing homelessness.
Yeah, and the reason why I brought that up with Daniel a little bit, not only because of the fact that he was at the meeting, but also just before our discussion, we had gotten a press release from the State Department of Treasury about the applications now being accepted for the home heating credit. But again, that comes with some strings attached, and Daniel says, hey, yeah, apply for it, but we can help if not only in terms of if you don't qualify or you can only get a certain amount, these block grants certainly would come in handy.
Yeah, it's a great resource, and I think the city does a really terrific job. Mark Cornelis at the Community and Neighborhood Services does a really great job of ensuring that we're using those funds as effectively and efficiently as possible, and really spread it out to places that really need it.
616-395-1450. If you have a question for Holland City Council member Lyn Raymond, she'll be happy to take it at 616-395-1450. A little while ago, we had Pastor Willie Watt, who is now with Lifeline Ministries, the founder of Escape Ministries, and he's very much involved in trying to deal with homelessness and homeless families, and that sometimes some of the current shall we say, mechanisms in place, that there are people that fall through the cracks. As one who is involved in trying to make sure that we sort of attack the problem of homelessness, do you get a sense that for all that's being done, there's still going to be some situations where we have people, sleeping in cars, and there's help, but they're not getting it, or they don't qualify for it, Lyn? I don't know.
Yeah, I think the work of the street outreach team at Community Action House has really helped to highlight the need for more available and affordable housing. That is our greatest need. We have resources to get people into housing. For example, a housing choice voucher is available to many people, but if they can't find a unit within the area where they want to live, then they're kind of out of luck. So that is our greatest need. And so lots of people are focusing on how to address the needs of people experiencing homelessness, living in their cars and out on the streets. But we want to make sure, and the city can play a part in that, making sure that more units are available and more affordable units are available. So everybody that's the beauty of how things work in Holland and in Ottawa County, is that we do it collaboratively. We work together. In fact, I was just on a call this morning with 5 or 6 agencies. We do this once a month, where we address, with permission from the folks themselves, we discuss how to best move people with the greatest need into housing as quickly as possible. So it's a terrific collaboration between Community Action House and Community Mental Health and the Department of Health and Human Services, and other agencies who really want to make sure that people are safe and off the streets.
How did what we heard and what we've seen so far from Waterfront Holland and the developments over the past month with the GDK proposal for swapping land with the Young Plant and the Verplank boat launch, sort of swapping land and maybe make the Verplank site a city dock area. It looked on the surface intriguing. How did it strike you?
Well, yeah, it is interesting to see this process moving forward. We're pretty excited to have received a proposal. It's important to note that this is a conceptual design. There's nothing set in stone. The city staff will take several months to analyze the concept and to determine whether or not it aligns with the waterfront vision, because that's the most important thing, is to make sure that whatever proposal we look at really follows that whole. We went through months and months of a visioning process, and we want to make sure that any proposal really aligns with that vision. So this will take some time.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm having seen a few proposals in my day. Some of the ones about building up Windmill Island and the land around there. That
Oh, yes.
was great ideas that sort of Peter went down to defeat. But you never know. The other thing I wanted to touch base with you on, Lynn, is the budget making process, the goal setting, or the priority setting session. And I think you touched upon a little bit about one of the priorities in your mind, and probably some of your colleagues' minds as well, dealing with affordable housing. And I would think the advance, or retreat, if you want to call it that, and the budget making process basically gives Keith Van Beek, the city manager, and his staff some things to work with, some marching orders to get the proposed budget in front of the council, not only for consideration in April, but voting on in May.
That's right. This time of year, January through May, is really budget focused time for the city staff, among all the other things that they do. In fact, one of the things that we noted in our council advance was that we wanted to make sure that the city staff wasn't overburdened. So we want to make sure that they continue to be able to do their job as effectively and brilliantly as they're doing it, without adding a lot to their plate. Affordable housing is, again, this is my third advance that I've attended, and affordable housing has always been a top priority. We're also looking, again, I think I mentioned earlier, broadband was one of our priorities as well. Following up on the community energy plan and make sure that we're assessing progress and keeping on track with that was another thing that we noted.
Let me ask you a frank and blunt question. You mentioned this being your third advance. How much have we improved? Or have we made any inroads in affordable housing in the 3 years since you came on board as a member of the Holland City Council?
Well, the short answer is yes. I am very excited about some of the progress. It takes time, but I think the city staff has been working very hard in ensuring that the developers are aware of the incentives that are available to them for including affordable units in their developments. I think the city planning department reported 217 units of affordable housing had been approved in 2021. And we're looking for many more coming in 2022 and beyond. So I think we are making progress. I think many people will say that whatever units we can add to the housing stock will help in decreasing the cost of housing, and it'll take time to get there. So we're glad to see that there are developments and housing going up at all price points around the city.
It's one thing to get the developers on board. Do you sense that perhaps the community in general is embracing this, or are we still seeing some people that are concerned about their property values, or the NIMBY people, not in my backyard people? Is it almost as if that might be the bigger hurdle to clear, besides instead of maybe trying to get the contractors to create affordable housing?
I think it's really about education. I've been talking about affordable housing, as many of us have been doing for many years. And we're never at the point where everyone understands the benefits to including affordable housing and how it can be helpful to a community. So I think it's on us to make sure that we're educating the community, and of course in encouraging and welcoming input, because it is really important to get lots of input and suggestions so that we're doing it right. Like I do believe that input from the community is helpful in any of the processes.
Yeah,
as messy as it might be.
yeah, it might be a little sloppy, and of course, during last night's city council meeting, some of the rules of council were worked on to sort of give people more time to chat before the council in public comment times and get their opinions known, even though they might run on and on. Well, anyway.
Well, it's an important part of our agenda. So we want to make sure that people have enough time to say what they need to say.
She is Lyn Raymond. She is the one of the two at-large council members of the Holland City Council. As always, Lyn, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts about what's going on in Holland City Council. Look forward to chatting with you again soon, not only about council,
Okay.
but also about affordable housing. That's something that's right up your alley.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Gary. We appreciate the time.
Thank you very much, Lyn Raymond on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.